I hate Pierce Brown so much. Alright, welcome back to another quick review. Today we are talking about Dark Age, Book 5 in the Red Rising Saga by Pierce Brown. Ooh, man, it's been a couple hours since I finished this one. It's December 24th, Christmas Eve, so I finished this morning. Boy, I've been reading this book for a month because a lot has happened. Life kind of got in the way, but I feel like I got a month to kind of take everything all in. Moved slow, took my time with it. This book is a lot. There's a lot going on. Obviously, this is the longest Red Rising book. Came in, at least my copy, came in at 752 pages, I think it was, which was so much fun, I guess. I I think I should start with this, like where I would put this book, with the other Red Rising books. Like where would I have this book ranked with the other ones? I think this is my second favorite thus far. I don't think it's as good as Golden Sun, and there's a reason for that, and I'll get to it in a moment. But I enjoyed it more than Morning Star. Enjoyed it more than Iron Gold, and enjoyed it more than Red Rising. I think this book is great. To start, the POVs and whatnot. This was a big thing when I talked about Iron Gold, because it's the first time that Iron Gold was the first time that we were getting introduced to multiple POVs. Every POV is more consistent. They don't have the lows that they do in Iron Gold, but that doesn't mean that some POVs aren't weaker than others, obviously. You can tell that Pierce Brown's writing in regards to these POVs have gotten a lot better, and it was the case in the first book. I mean, in Iron Gold, but it's especially the case in this book that you can tell each POV apart. Not even so much by the chapter number, but like what the character is saying, what the character is thinking, how they speak, how they describe things. It's really fascinating to see how different each of these characters tell their stories, right? Like I said, each POV is much more consistent. Some are weaker than others. If I had to rank the POVs, or at least from my favorite POV and whatnot, my favorite POV was Virginia. Mustang's POV was my favorite, and then at the bottom was Ephraim. I still don't know how to pronounce his name, and I'm not sure if I'm ever going to figure that out. And then after that is Virginia, Darrow, Lysander, Lyria, Ephraim, right? Ephraim's chapters were still the worst, to me. They're still, ultimately, I think, the weak link, just like in Iron Gold. However, in my opinion, but man, those last couple of chapters were amazing. I think those last like 5 or 6, not even five, honestly, probably more than that, like 6 or 7. Those last 6 or 7 chapters of Ephraim's POV were genuinely amazing, phenomenal. Then jumping over to Virginia, for the amount of screen time that she had, the amount of time that she had, and it wasn't a lot. I think it just kind of goes to show how amazing these chapters ended up being. How amazing they were. So much so that they ended up being my favorite. They felt the most concise and put together. I think that has to do with the amount of time we have with Virginia. It's not as much compared to obviously Darrow and Lysander, even Ephraim and Lyria, and I'll get to that in a second. It felt more concise and put together. Nothing slowed it down. It held my attention the entire time with what little time it had, and I love every second of it. Mustang is one of my favorite characters in the entire saga. I genuinely love that character. The first Lyria chapter, being a chapter 36, is crazy to me. It is insane that we had to go 36 chapters waiting for Lyria. I get it, but I don't like it. But overall, I found her chapters enjoyable. There's some great emotional payoff and some great moments in there. Like everything with Victra and her kid. Oh my goodness, man, that was crazy. I love what they did with Lyria and Volga. or what Pierce Brown did with Lyria and Volga, and their relationship with Victra. Just Victra as a whole was great. There were some moments where I was like, man, Victra, go away, shut up. But we got to, the moment they, crashed, and after Volsung Fa attacked, everything after that with Lyria, Victra, and Volga was phenomenal. And God, the tree, man, the baby in the tree. Anyways, it makes me that the Lyria's chapters make me very excited for the future of some of these characters. Darrow and Lysander, man, ooh boy, the way those two POVs are entwined was great. Genuinely, you could see Darrow kind of losing his mind the longer he's away, and actively becoming more of the myth or the legend that people have actively tried to make him into. You can see him trying to hold on to his humanity while also trying to make these tough decisions. And then on the other side, you can see so clearly Lysander becoming the worst possible person, the worst person ever. Lysander, don't like the guy. Horrible. Hate him. Love his chapters because I think it's really interesting. Hate him. Don't like him. The evolution of these characters just as over over the span of the book, from beginning to end, was sight to behold. Just because they feel so different from the beginning of the book and from Iron Gold in general. This book is dark. This book is dark as hell, and obviously, the title of the book is Dark Age. You would expect it to be dark. I'm just looking at this picture. I didn't realize that he was holding Pax's key, and it's crazy. Anyways, this book is, as the title suggests, this book is dark. I didn't expect it to be as dark as it was, between everything with Victra and Ulysses, and every war that's going on. Day of Red Doves. Oh my God, that was crazy. So many moments, so many things happened, so many moments happened that I was shocked by. Stuff with Seraphina and Sephi, Alexander, Frame. Sephi especially. I wasn't expecting it. All I know is that I read the words meat salad, and just kind of figured it, and immediately I was like, oh, this is just not going to end well for anybody involved, and it was true. I was right, just didn't. Genuinely crazy stuff. I will say this much: there was a lot of what I heard about Dark Age going into it was that it was too dark. That some of the moments kind of don't, because it was so dark that some of the moments don't work. It was just like, oh my goodness, another one. And something else is happening, and I'm just like, I disagree with that in a sense. I think some of that is overblown. Maybe it's just because I've read or watched too much stuff in my time, in my 19 years of life. But honestly speaking, like I said, this is dark as hell, but it's not as bad as I thought it was. The people that made it out to be like, oh yeah, every other page is dark. It's like, no, it's still manageable. It's a lot to handle. It's still manageable. I think my biggest complaint with this book overall is the same complaint that I had with Oathbringer when I reviewed that back early in the summer by Brandon Sanderson, obviously. This is the longest book in the series thus far. Obviously, Red God isn't out yet, and I've actually already started reading Lightbringer, and that's not as long. But this is the longest book in the franchise, in the series thus far, and it feels like it. It took me I think it took me a shorter time to read this book than Iron Gold. I won't say I'm a fast reader, but I'm not a slow reader. I read based off of what's going on in life and how much time I have. And frankly, during this time, it just wasn't much, finals and whatnot. But it definitely feels like it's the longest book in the franchise. There are certain moments that I feel like drag on or could be cut down upon. Not to the level that Oathbringer does. Oathbringer was a lot. I find that the parts that drag on in this book aren't as bad as the parts that drag on in Oathbringer, and I love Oathbringer. I have to make this clear. Oathbringer, I adore, is my second favorite Stormlight Archive book. But it's just the thing that I could compare this to the most in regards to pacing it being long, in the length of the book. But yeah, overall, I would still highly recommend Dark Age. Like I said, it's my second favorite book in the Red Rising saga so far. I loved it. I cannot wait to get more into Lightbringer. I've only read one chapter thus far, and I just can't wait to read more. Highly go recommend it. I mean, you probably would have clicked off at this point because there's spoilers, but whatever. Book is great. Easily it's as close to a 10 out of 10 as it could possibly be. I'm not sure if I would give it the 10, but it's definitely close. Thank you for watching this quick review. I'll be back in like a month and a half or so with Lightbringer just because, yeah, that's probably how long it's going to take. Yeah, thank you for watching. See ya. Bye.